This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
What's up? Welcome back. Road to the Golden Door. We have a special guest today, a youngin' hustler, Travis Hartman. He's a co-founder of Momentous. He's doing about 400, 500 deals a month. The kid installed 250 deals last year, just over 250 deals last year, sold over 350 deals last year. The kid started out in alarms, went to pest, now he's in solar. I'm excited about this one because Travis is somebody that I've actually been networking with and just pointing and mentoring and coaching the right direction because of the struggles that this kid has faced. But it's kind of like the Phoenix, like the kid's come out of the ashes, and now he's at a point where they're not doing a couple hundred deals a month; they're doing almost 500 deals a month. And I'm really excited to be able to hear Travis. What you have to say and how you guys got there. So Travis Hartman, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me, my man. Shout out to you, Mikey. I know we've been connected for years. You've provided a ton of value to me over the years, and you've always been there for me, so I appreciate that. But yeah, man, I love what you got going on with the podcast, and I'm super pumped to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, man. So I typically start out the shows like this, man. So for everyone that doesn't know Travis Hartman, who is Travis Hartman?
That's the question of the day. But yeah, Travis Hartman, I'm the co-founder of Momentous, based in good old SoCal. Little background on me, as you said, 23 years old. My history, dropped out of college at 19. Started out in Ohio selling alarm systems. So I had a great time doing that. Didn't make too much money, but that's where I got my first taste in good old door-to-door. Didn't come from money. Family was middle class, so wasn't impoverished, but, still had food on the table. Dad was a lawyer, mom was a writer, right? So I got to see the value of hard work, but always wanted more for myself. So yeah, did the alarm thing, had a great time doing that. That's when I got my first skin in the game, saw the opportunity. Year two, with my business partner, who partnered with some of you guys probably know, Ricardo, we ended up joining a pest control company. Ran one of the largest branches in Tampa, crushed it, did our thing there. Also realized that there was a glass ceiling in that opportunity. Year three, ended up getting into solar. That's when I made my first 7 figures, had a really big year. Year four, started up an office in good old Inland Empire. And that's where we had our big year, broke a lot of records, had a lot of fun, learned a lot of lessons that year. And that leads us up to today. We're now, me and Ricardo, we started Momentous. We're one of the largest dealers in SoCal. We're rolling about 400 or 500 a month. Business partners with Brad Lee, working with some really cool people in the space, in the mortgage space. And now we're on the podcast with Mikey Lucas. So yeah, man, I'm super pumped to be here.
Let's go. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, dude, ever since I talked to you at first, I was like, man, this kid, like, you know how it is, man, in the industry. You've obviously coached and mentored a lot of people as well, and seen a lot of people come through in your what, 6 years of doing door-to-door sales now. And, people just, you just know when someone's got it, and, there's one thing as a mentor and a coach myself, as an eventual father one day, right? I don't like when I give somebody advice and they don't use it. And, that's why I would answer your phone calls and be like, okay, Travis needs help. And he's calling me because he actually wants to do it. And you respect my obviously my opinion, whether it was necessarily right for you or wrong for you at the time. It's just, I just knew that you had it. And it's just, and I'm glad that you hit Golden Door last year. Congrats, obviously.
Appreciate it.
I look forward to kind of diving into this more. So, why don't you bring me back? Let's go back, 6 years ago. I want you to bring me through your alarm days, dude. What did you learn from what was different then, in the alarm days, than now? What was Travis, 19-year-old Travis doing, 18-year-old Travis doing at the time that he's not doing now?
Yeah, man. Oh, we're taking it way back. We're taking it way back. I miss the alarm days. Those were the good old days when I felt like I was at the top of the world then making 20 grand. I thought I was the richest man on earth. Now I feel like I'm poorer than ever, making more money than I was before. But yeah, so back to right before alarms, this was literally, I mean, I was in high school, senior year of high school, still was a complete idiot, still in my party phase. I didn't know what was going on. And yeah, long story about me is I went to Chico State, which for those of you who don't know, they call it Harvard of the West. Reason why they call it Harvard of the West is because it's not Harvard of the West. It's the furthest thing. It's like one of the largest party schools. So I went there, and my experience in Chico taught me so much. It taught me what I didn't want. There's a lot of partying. There's a lot of drugs. It was way too much for me. And literally within the first semester, I was like, look, this is not what I want. I started getting the personal development. I started reading a lot of books. That's when I found my first mentor. And I was like, this is not for me. I'm gonna distance myself. Literally called up mom and dad and was like, hey guys, like I'm dead serious. This is gonna work out. I literally dropped out on the spot. Right after I left Chico, I had a massive health scare. So I got mono and I was under the weather for about 2 to 3 months, literally bedridden, lost 30 pounds. And that is one of the first massive instances of adversity I have. I learned a lot about myself, right? And I always tell my guys, you learn the most about yourself at the bottom. And I did feel like that was one of the first times at rock bottom for me. Just dropped out of school and had a massive health scare. And in that, one of my mentors was like, look, man, this is a time where you got to learn a ton about yourself and just dive deep. So I started reading. So I read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, and did that for about 2 months. Still stayed positive in my mind. And my buddy, he reached out and he's like, hey, man, I got this opportunity in Ohio. And literally on the spot, I was like, done, I'm going to take it. So I ended up flying to Ohio, and yeah, went to knock doors, sold for Vivint, which, as most of you guys probably know, Vivint has some of the best training in the game. So I was super fortunate to have some really good mentors and managers at Vivint. But yeah, I did that for 3 months, got my face absolutely stomped in the first month. And the one thing that I remember still to this day, like it was yesterday, I called my dad and I was like, look, Dad, I'm struggling, but like my life depends on it, you cannot let me quit regardless of what happens. If you let me quit, like I'll, it's just not a possibility. So I called him up, told him that, and I called him actually 3 times that summer, and he reminded me of that first call that we had, and I just stuck with it. It was extremely difficult, but yeah, we stuck with it. I ended up being one of the top rookies that summer, and it set me up for a lot more success later on in my career.
Wow. I wanna slow down a little bit. That was a lot right there. This theme of adversity, this theme of like like breakthroughs is what it sounds like. Um, Resiliency, grit. Why do you think you have that? Like where's that come from, bro?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. It's always like the nature versus nurture thing. And I mean to answer your question, I think it's a combination of both. I was fortunate enough to have an incredibly hardworking family every single day. I'd always see both my parents up before 6, so they worked their ass off, which they definitely instilled work ethic within me. But at the end of the day, I do think personally one of my gifts is being able to handle a ridiculous amount of stress. I have a very, very high stress tolerance, which being in the industry for 6 years, I have seen, I mean, the amount of stress that we have to undergo in order to, one, knock doors in the first place, two, actually sell deals. Number three, get a door to doors, a ridiculous amount of stress. And what I always tell people is like the reason why we get paid so much in this job, it's not because of the yeses, right? It's to be able to
Right.
deal with the stressors on the day to day, right? So I really do think it was a combination of my environment, right? I have a great family. I've got a great group of guys that I'm rolling with, but also I do think that one of my superpowers is I do have like a very, very high stress tolerance. And no matter what happens to me, I try to stay as stoic as possible and I roll with the punches, right? And still to this day, I mean, I get hit in the face every single day. As you know, when running a business, when running a sales team, even when knocking doors, you have stuff that pops up. And I think one of my God-given abilities is being able to handle that stress and being able to keep on going, keep on pushing.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like the environment are your parents still together, by the way?
Yeah. Still
God,
together, been together for 20 plus years.
God bless them, dude.
Yep.
So let me ask you this then. are you kind of saying that the environment that you were raised in, not necessarily tons of money or whatever, but the environment you were raised in had something to do with your superpower of having high stress tolerance and the adversity that you're able to like the stress, like the pressure that you're able to handle? Is that kind of what you're saying? Is of your upbringing?
100%. I think a lot of it was due to upbringing, right? Like I said, having a very hardworking father, getting to see that. But also the other big thing I didn't touch on is obviously, I mean, I wasn't raised with much money, but in my area, so I'm from Northern California, right? I was right outside of a pretty affluent area. So I got to
Where
see a
at?
lot of success growing up. East Bay, so right over the bridge from San Francisco, 45 minutes East Bay, near Walnut Creek area.
Yeah, Walnut Creek.
So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, I mean, it's a relatively affluent area. So I got to see a lot of wealth around me. You know, there's always like the German cars, the Mercedes. If you go down the street towards Danville, a lot of people have like the Lamborghinis. So I got to see money around me, and still to this day, it pushed me because I wanted to, I wanted to become wealthy, right? And I got to see it, and I didn't have it growing up. So like that's definitely part of it. But then, I mean, obviously, I wasn't always like this, right? In the beginning,
Right.
as I told you in the beginning, I was a dumbass kid, right? I had no idea what I wanted. And the beautiful part about this job is when you are faced with adversity, knocking doors, I mean, you learn a lot about yourself, and over time, you do obviously build up that stress tolerance, and you do, you get punched in the face, and if you keep on rolling with it, then you learn a lot about yourself and you grow, right? So to answer your question, I think it was a combination of my environment growing up, and I think it was a combination of just staying mentally hardened through over the years, and that has pushed me to grow as an individual.
Okay, why do you want to grow though? Like what is, I don't want to, I mean, you can go through your why, you can go through whatever, but like why does Travis want to keep coming back when you have already, I mean, for anybody that knows you, you've gone through a lot already in this industry. You're
Of
only
course.
23, and that doesn't mean like an age wise, like your maturity level, it's like credit score. You can have an 800 credit score. If you make $60,000 a year, someone with a 590 credit score making $1 million a year has a higher credit worthiness of you.
Yep.
So your age has nothing to do with your maturity level. Your maturity level is through the roof. But why though, Travis? Why do you want to continue to grow? Why do you continue to pursue personal development? Like, what is it?
Yeah. That is the question of the day. Mikey, I know you're super big into personal development. The beautiful part about that is always changing as you change, right? So in the beginning for me, it first started out with, hey, I'm reading these books. I have some mentors in my life. First, number one is I want to make some money, and I wanted to be my first driving motivator was I wanted to be the first millionaire in my family, right? I wanted to put my family on the back. I wanted to show them that it's possible, and I did want to be able to provide for them and provide I wanted to have nice things. To be quite blunt with you. So in the beginning, that was my driving motivator. But as you know, once you make your first 100,000, once you make your first 500,000, right, you quickly start to realize that the money's great and it makes life a whole lot more enjoyable. But that's not, I mean, at least for me, I didn't gain much satisfaction after getting my first taste of money. So year two in the starting on the industry was really to make the money, all right, and to show my family and make them proud. But now that I have made money, I have had a lot of success in the industry. We have been through the highs, we have been through the lows. My wife's completely changed. Right. So
Yeah.
my why right now is I want to impact as many human beings as possible, like millions and millions of people. And in order to do that, I know that myself, I have to have personal excellence. I need to have self-mastery, right? Number two, I need to have a track record, right? So, for example, got to be a top sales guy in my company. Obviously, had to get the golden door, had to get the accolades. But now that I'm transitioning more in the business side of things, being able to grow an organization to 500,000, 1,500, 2,000, and be able to grow a sustainable organization over the long term, I know that the lessons I'm going to learn, I'm going to be able to take that 10 years down the road when I'm 30 years old and be able to hand that down, right? And that's what drives and that's what motivates me, right? At the end of the day, as you know, in sale, all sales is helping people, right? And all running an organization is people, right? And in order to grow an organization, you need to be able to help people. And as you grow, you realize that's where all the secret is. You can grow your business and you can gain a lot of self-fulfillment, right? So that's what drives me nowadays, is really being able to grow myself in order to help other people.
Love that. Yeah, you can tell that you've actually done a lot of the 7 levels of self mastery, because you're like, yeah, it's ever changing. What I wanted back then is not what I want now, and that's outstanding.
I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development mentorship, by the way. I think that gets really overlooked in this industry. A lot of people aren't willing to invest in themselves, right? I remember before I got into solar, I literally put $25,000 in a sales course, right? I went all in on myself, and still to this day, all the investments that I made in myself have always, given me the biggest ROI.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, dude. At 31 now, running a $50 million energy fund, American Energy Fund, I will tell you this, that first of all, I don't belong in the rooms that I'm in right now. I don't belong there, but I am there because of what I did over the last 10 years in door-to-door sales. Like, I'm a college dropout just like you, dumped by my high school sweetheart, was addicted using 500, 600 milligrams of, you're doing 500, 600 deals a month. I was doing 500, 600 milligrams of Oxycontin a day. Product of divorce, like bad environment growing up, the whole 9 yards, right? I mean, I had a good family growing up, but really not a very good environment. It wasn't hanging out with the right people for the most part. Everything was against me, but because of what I did at door to door, because of the attributes, the lessons, the breakthroughs that I was able to accomplish in door to door from that vehicle. And I knew that if I just acted as if this was my life dependent on it, this was my only option, and I had to figure it out, I would get to the point where I'm at now, a venture capitalist running, as a fund manager, dude. Like, Mikey Lucas is a fund manager. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That is so, like, I'm telling you, dude, I got our wedding. I got married 2 years ago, but we delayed our wedding. We did like 2 weddings. Our wedding was a couple months ago, and I rented a Rolls Royce because that was something I always wanted to do, was to have a Rolls Royce for my wedding. And I had my videographer guy with me because I had to write it off. Obviously, I got easier for business. Got easier for business.
Textbook Mikey, textbook.
51%. And I got to document it. So the IRS ever comes around, they're like, he used it for business. So textbook Mikey, I love that you said that. It's true.
Hey, I just got the new Audi, and I was the same way. I'm writing off the payments. It's all good.
100%. And dude, it's a part of your brand. It's the Travis Hartman brand. So
exactly.
So I was up there, and I just remember, like, dude, doing these videos, and I was like, I remember like 13 years ago now being at that school, like, where the hell am I going to be in 10 years from now? And I'm 13 years out now, but like, I had no clue that I would be at where I'm at. But thankfully, kind of like you were saying here, and I kind of want to know, there's a couple things that I wrote down. I'm like, I got to get into this because what you said, we actually vibe a lot more. We're very similar than I thought that we were initially. Yeah, dude, like, the amount of, like, every single day, is this going to make sense? Is this going to be worth it? Like, is going out and knocking on doors alone, or is like freaking recruiting these kids and them backstabbing you, is getting into this joint venture and then them backstabbing you? Is this thing happening, this crumbling down? Is this actually going to be worth it? And I will tell you this, Travis, at 23 years old, now being 31, you being 23, I will tell you this right now, 100%, 150%, it is worth it, because they can't take what you learn and the lessons that you have. And I know that you know that. Just and I'm not going to say be humble. Like, obviously that has a lot to do with it. I would say don't, and I'm not saying that you do this. Just be very wise, be very cautious of where ego comes in, because ego is like the enemy of you being the best Travis you can be. If you look at any of the billionaires, any of the guys that you get mentored, I get mentored by, like, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, these big dogs, right? Brad Lee, they'll tell you the same thing. These guys, everyone thinks Brad Lee's a freaking prick, right? He's not. He just doesn't do well around people that crap on their potential, right? So, okay, let me, so yes, it's worth it. 100% it's worth it, dude. I don't belong in the rooms that I'm in, but Travis, you growing momentous right now is is so important for 5 years in the future for you. So like how you act now, the little thing, not how you do everything, how you do anything is how you do everything, but how you act now, Travis. Okay. I feel like I'm mentoring you right now. How you act now, Travis, is going to absolutely be directly correlated with 30-year-old Travis. So don't forget
100%.
that. Don't forget that.
100%. And I would beg to argue that you definitely do belong in the room. Shout out to you, Mikey, because what you've accomplished over the last 5, 10 years is incredible. Not many people can start it out in your position and door to door are now you said what, $50 million fund?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's impressive. So shout out to you. Hats off.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, we're excited, bro. Yeah, I know it's kind of funny. My coach was like, "Why do you say you don't belong in those rooms?" And I go, "If you look at, I know I belong in those rooms. I wouldn't be there if I didn't belong in those rooms. You know, I either bought my way in those rooms, pushed my way in those rooms, broke the door, bombed the building down. Like I'm in the room, right? I'm getting in. You know, lie, cheat, or steal. I'm getting in that damn room. I'm there,
Yep.
brother. But if you look at what like the story of who Mikey Lucas was, I do that because I want to encourage people that there is hope for a future, not to like, oh, well, that's a humble play. No, I want you to realize that I was severely addicted to drugs, bro. You know, spending time in jail, like running from the cops, you know, it was not, dude, like disrespecting women, dude, like just all the worst of the worst you could say. Like, I mean, born and raised in Vegas, bro. Like everyone's like, how do you do that? It's like, yeah, what you guys did on a weekend was a daily basis for us. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let me transition really quick. And I appreciate you sharing that, dude. Like, I don't,
Of course.
I like to surround myself with people that are two things. One, that can call you out for talking bad about yourself, and two, that fight for the bill at dinner. And
I
that's why I
love it.
like you, Travis.
I always try to keep it real as possible. And I mean, the beautiful part about the group and my circle that I have is they do as well, right? It's super important who you surround yourself with. It's funny, all the cliche stuff you hear is the best stuff. And you realize it over time, right? You always hear people like, oh, your network is your net worth. Well, it's actually true, right? Some of the largest connections I've made have made me the most money, right? And sometimes, like with my buddies, my business partner, they tell me the truth. If I listen to it, like, hey, that's my blind spot. Well, that's been the bottleneck in the business. And the next month, if I actually take that advice, then we're 50% over than what we were doing the last month, right? Just because of one little thing that a buddy called me. So it's what you're saying is 100% true.
Okay.
Completely agree.
Let's slow down there. Why do you think then, Travis? Let's make sure that we draw a line of sand here. Why do you think that the majority of people think the cliche stuff is cliche? Like, why is that then? Is there what's up with that?
I think number one, as you did say, is I think people's egos get in a lot in their way, right? So a lot of people aren't willing, one, to actually do the personal development and actually take other people's advice and roll with it, right? But number two is, I mean, especially with social media, right? Especially with all the access of information and the internet that we have, it's a lot easier to quote unquote procrastinate looking up a different way of doing something than actually doing the work, right? It's a lot harder to knock doors from 11 till 9 every single day for 4 months than it is to watch a YouTube video of Mikey Lucas spitting some sauce from 12 to 3 and then getting on the doors when you feel like it, right? What I always tell my guys is you just need to get out of your own way. You already know what you need to do. If you want to get in shape, you wake up, you go to the gym, you hit your macros, and you do that over a long time horizon. That's it. If you want to make $1 million in solar, you convince 150 people to save money, right? Most people get in their own way. It's very simple. You already know everybody already knows what they need to do, but it's hard to stick with it consistently time and time again, especially because, it's like girl in the red dress, right? Oh, there's this opportunity. There's this crypto prompt. There's this YouTube video, right? Everyone's so distracted, right? And what I'll tell my guys in door to door is like, look, man, you know what you need to do. You got to stick with the schedule and you got to talk to the guys that are in the position where you want to be. That's it. You'll win. But the percentage of people that I see that are willing to do that over a long enough time horizon, I mean, quite honestly, it's less than 10%, right? But long story short, who knows why people don't listen to the right advice, right? But I think really it is just because it's hard to execute on the simple stuff consistently over a long time horizon. It's not easy to do. People get distracted, There's a lot of opportunities out there. It's hard to stay focused on the simple stuff, but it's necessary.
Interesting. About 6 months ago, I said I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of the, and I threw away the it's COVID. I've gained 40 pounds. So I'm down to 224.8 today.
Come on.
And
Love
that's
to
my
see it, making it happen.
that was my first weight goal. I was 246, and now I'm 224.8. Now I'm gonna get down to 208, which was my my top high school weight. So I was a big kid back then, and I'm excited.
I'm gonna be watching you make it happen, baby.
Oh, what's gonna happen, brother? Trust me. I'm excited about it, man. Yeah, I think I just pulled 3 things from what you said there. Dude, like I just want to like, let me slow down a little bit even again, dude. Like we're going so fast, bro. Like I want to dive into this so much deeper. Okay. People are listening to this and being like, this 23-year-old kid has no idea what he's talking about. But dude, you are so like, I can tell, and I already know you, but if you're listening to this and you're thinking this 23-year-old kid, okay, like you need to check yourself. Okay. Travis, it's not easy to install 250 deals in 1 year, let alone go and do a full summer in alarm sales or pest control. The kid's been doing it for 6 years now. So let me ask you this, Travis. What makes you special?
Oh man, put me on the spot. Mikey, I mean, I definitely don't think I'm special. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've just been blessed with good people in my life and good mentors. And, a big driving motivator for me has been 2 things. One, obviously, been wanting to make my family, my people proud, always, right? It's not about you. It's not about Mikey. It's not about Travis. It's never been about me, right? I always preach to my guys. I mean, you always have to have a why that's bigger than yourself, right? And I think pretty dang big, especially over time, right? In the beginning, I wanted to make a couple million. Now it's like, look, if this isn't a 9-figure or billion-dollar opportunity, count me out, right? So the thing that I've always done is I haven't made it
Nice.
about myself, right? Which there's more days than not when it comes to working out and when it comes to doing the job and building a business where you don't feel like doing it. And if it's about yourself, then you'll cave in, right? For me, I haven't made it about myself. I've made it about helping other people, and I've made it about helping the people around me, and it drives me every single day, right? And I'm working harder. I've already made millions of dollars in the industry, right? And I'm working harder today than I did when I first started. Why? Well, it's because it's not about myself. So to answer your question, Mike, I'm not special, right? I just think I have an advantage because my perspective is different than most people, right? And another thing I think about all the time is I contemplate my 85-year-old self daily. I try to think about it 10 minutes every single day, look back and say, hey, am I going to be proud of what I accomplished when I was that 23-year-old self or when I was that 30-year-old self? Did I max out? Did I squeeze every single juice and every single juice out of this life? Right. So I think about it all the time. And really when I do think about that, it comes down to, hey, did I impact people's lives? And it fires me up, keeps me going.
Wow. That's one attribute that I've noticed in almost every single one of the Golden Door Award winners that I've interviewed is they have said something along the lines of, I look at 70, 80-year-old Mikey from like the Scrooge McDuck kind of like whatever, like scenario, like the outer body experience, and look back at now 31-year-old Mikey and say, did I give it at my all? Did I leave it all in the core? Did I, squeeze every ounce of juice out of that lemon, right? Like, did I do that? So, and it was funny. I interviewed John Taylor yesterday, dude that's, co-founder, co-owner of Grit Marketing. And he said the exact same thing. And I'm like, dude, this is a theme that like
Yep.
I'm consistently seeing. I get this ass a lot when I'm on show, when I'm getting interviewed. They're like, Mikey, you got this great podcast. You interview like, the top 1% of the 1%. What do you see? And I'm like, this is what I see. Like, guys, did you guys not just hear this yet again? Another Golden Door Award winner said, I'm looking at from the point of view of the older me, and will I regret? I was talking to John Taylor yesterday, and I said, look, man, I'm like, I think it's just like, it's not a fear of rather it's the fear of loss, kind of, not the fear of lack. So it's a fear
Yeah.
of like, I don't really know how to explain it exactly, but it's kind of like,
I know what you mean.
You see what I'm saying here? It's like, you don't want to look back and be like, I could have, done more. I could have given more. I could have made more. I could have loved more. I could have, called my mom more. Like, your dad and mom are not going to be here forever, bro. Like, your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. Like, you don't want to, you're motivated by not, like, almost like the fear, like the good version of the fear of missing out.
That is my biggest fear, is not maxing out my potential. 100%. You have to figure out what lights your fire.
Wow.
You have, and that's the personal development, right? Like, you have to spend time within thinking about, hey, what drives me, what motivates me, right? That's what drive is at the end of the day, right? You got to light your own fire underneath yourself, and that changes over time, right? My 19-year-old self didn't have the same driving motivator as my 23-year-old self, which isn't going to have the same thing as my 30-year-old self, right? So you got to look within. You got to figure out what the heck that fire is for yourself and keep it lit, hot, piping hot, right? Because that's what's going to keep you rolling. That's what keeps me going every single day. I'm getting punched in the face in my business more than ever right now, and I love it. I love it, right? Because I know that these punches are going to take me closer to where I want to be. And the beautiful part is, like, Mikey, you wouldn't be able to host this podcast and help out hundreds of thousands, millions of people if you didn't roll with the punches over the years. Yeah. Right? That's what qualifies you to be in the position where you're at to have a $50 million fund. Yep. Right? So a lot of people don't recognize that all the doors getting slammed in their face, all the times they get effed over in the business, right? That happens for you, not to you. Right? Those lessons, I've internalized those lessons, and now I can go to one of my reps and say, hey man, it's gonna be all right. Right? You're still gonna stand and you're gonna learn from it.
Okay. Let me camp there for a second. Okay, so let me I appreciate it where the high level you're talking at. I want you to bring it down to like the guys hitting 40 to 60 deals a year for a second.
Yep.
What do you think, like the fact, like, I don't even think they're catching it. Like, it's hard for them to understand it so far. So I want you to bring it down to them, because like you're saying, you've said it multiple times, which is so true, that it's ever changing, but it's because you understand that your why ever changes, your direction ever changes, your fuel ever changes. It's multiple things, right? It's a bag full of whys, right? And one thing could work today that doesn't work tomorrow, that could have worked last week, that will work in the 4 weeks in the future, whatever. Like, this is combination you're always trying to freaking crack. So let's go back down to the guys that are hitting 40, 60 deals a year. They really, really want it, right? They're kind of in a personal development. Maybe they just don't see the benefit. I don't know. Maybe they don't see the benefit, whatever. But like, we were told, Travis, that you had to have it figured out, and you alluded to it in high school. You're like, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. Well, why did you have to know what you wanted to do at 18? Who told you that? But they're telling us that. Why? Because at 10th grade, in 10th grade, next year, depending on what school you went to, whatever, right? Whatever year they did it, 11th grade, they had career fair. The kids showed up in suits and ties or whatever. It's like, you got to figure out what you're going to do at freaking 15, 16 years old. Like, I barely just got my driver's license. Can't even freaking vote yet.
Yep.
Figure out what I mean to do with my life. I like freaking rocket power and like skateboarding right now. I'm at 16 years old, dude. Like,
I'm barely tying my own shoes, let alone know what I want to do.
Dude, come on. So bring me down, help me understand, if I was somebody that was hitting 50, 60 deals a year, 40, 60 deals a year, and I understood, I've heard the quote unquote cliche version of like, invest, the best real estate you can invest into is a 6 inches between your brain. Like, what do you do if you're starting out? Like, how do you do that? Like, are you changing what you're listening to in the car? Are you changing what you're listening to in the gym? Are you listening to books while you're in the shower? Like, what is Travis doing? Give me some practical stuff that these guys can take home right now that you wish you would have done or that you're doing currently?
Yeah. I think the first thing that stood out to me from your previous question was, hey, they're kind of into personal development. Number one is, you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out if you want to get upper 1% results, right? A lot of people, they have 1 foot in, they have 1 foot out, and that alone is taking up a lot of their mental capacity. So number one is, you got to dig deep. You got to figure out why you're doing it. You got to be 150% in.
So you have This full submersion is what we were talking about. So I try, because I'm learning I'm learning a lot. I'm almost at 2 full pages of notes right now. What I try to like compare things, and like so my brain can like lock on. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You said full submersion into self-development for the guys that are hitting 40, 60 deals a year. It's kind of like learning a language. The only way for you to fully learn the language, you can't go 1 foot into self-development, personal development, and 1 foot out. So you think that that's one of the reasons why? I hope that gives you enough context about what we were just talking about.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Mikey, there's a reason why we named our company Momentous, right? It's because our number one thing we teach is the law of momentum, right? If you have a rock rolling down a hill and there's a wall in front of it, it will stop, right? Most people, they get in their own way, right? They get into personal development, but they've got 1 foot out, so then they go back to their old habits, right? They start waking up at a certain time, and then they don't. They start knocking doors at a certain time, and then they don't. They get in their own way, right? And that's typically because, one, as I was saying before, it's because it's about them. It's not about other people, right? They don't have a big enough why. They don't have that fire under their butt. And number 2 is just because they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? So the big thing with that is I'm all about consistency, right? I'm willing to bet the people that are in that position, they're just not consistent, right? They're probably getting complacent when they're getting a big commission check, right? Their vision isn't bigger for their life, and they're probably not sticking to the little things. They're not sticking with the daily getting on the doors and knocking, the daily non-negotiables of going up and showing up to their appointments, the daily training, the daily role playings. I'm willing to bet that they're not doing just the basic stuff consistently over a long enough time horizon. The thing about the law of momentum is it takes a tremendous amount of energy in order to get that momentum, right? So a lot of people, as they're building it up, they stop, right? Because they have XYZ pop up, an account cancels, they have girlfriend problems, you name it, right? And it cuts off the momentum, right? And I think the one big thing, and throughout my entire career, has been actually harnessing that power. Well, how do you do that? Well, you have to put in the pain and the discipline in the beginning in order to build it up, right? But the beautiful part about it is once you get that momentum, you have to protect it like your life depends on it, right? And then hold on to it for as long as possible. I'm still holding on to it like my life depends on it. I've built up a momentum, right? But the problem is like a lot of people, they build up the momentum and then they let it slip and then they get in their head and then they don't recover, right? So the big thing for guys that are doing 40 to 50 a month is you have to double down. You have to fully commit. Once you get the momentum, which they already know what momentum feels right? Because you're still closing deals, but you have to protect that momentum and roll with it for as long as humanly possible. And that's hard. You have to stay disciplined, right? So that's definitely a big thing we teach. And then number 2, the thing that I find is a lot of people, as you're saying, ego in the beginning, a lot of people, they just don't have the ego to realize that what they're doing isn't going to get them to where they want to go, right? There are a lot of people, like just like everybody on this podcast, that have a golden door. There are people that are doing it. It is possible, right? And most likely they're the big fish in a small pond, right? So number 2 is you got to be surrounded by guys that are getting the numbers you want. You got to be picking their brains, and you've got to be doing what they're doing, right? Or else your life is going to change. If you keep on following the same habits and routines that are getting you to 40, 50 a month, you're not going to get to 130 at the end of the year. You're not going to get to 150. You have to change your environment and you have to change your habits, period, over a long time horizon.
It's so funny, Travis. You said I don't even think you caught it, but you said 40 to 50 deals a month because that is something that you've done and that your guys are actually used to.
Yeah.
Like you guys have actually done that. So like it was just like, you're just like, 40 deals a month. But we were talking to the people that are doing 40 deals a year. That is
everyone should be doing 50 a month minimum.
Standard or you're fired. Oh, I love that. Okay, so I got a lot of notes here. I'm going to try to go back to this, but I want back to what I'm not going to try to. I am going to go back to that, but I want to bounce off something you said earlier to me. Okay. Yep. This is a really good show, by the way. What is the greatest lessons your dad taught you?
My number one rule in business is integrity. If you lie, if you steal, if you cheat, if you lie to yourself, if you lie to a customer, you might win in a year. you might get a deal and get a 10 grand commission check in the short term, but over 3, 4, 5 years, you will crumble. So now my number one thing that he instilled in me is integrity, right? Be a man of your word. Do what you know you should be doing behind, like, even when people aren't watching, right? I used to be a liar when I was in high school. I used to not have hold myself to a high integrity. Now it's my number one focus, especially when I'm scaling my business. I need my people to know that I'm going to own up to my mistakes and I'm not going to lie, and that I am going to hold integrity. So that's number one. That's a big takeaway that I've learned from him. Number two is he just showed up every single day. I can't remember one time where I didn't see him up at 5, not out the door at 7. I can't remember it, right? So he's incredibly consistent. He works his ass off, right? And just seeing that every single day, I think instilled me that that's my standard. I show up every single day, and I show up every single day with integrity, right? Intent is everything. I'm a firm believer, Mikey. Like, I tell my guys this all the time. If you work hard every single day and you have integrity, it's hard not to stumble on a couple 100,000 in this job. It's hard not to stumble under. And the beautiful part is if you get around the right information and you have a little bit of talent, you're probably going to stumble on a couple million, right? But it's crazy because most people, they either have one or the other. They have the work ethic, but they don't have the integrity. Or they have the integrity, but they don't have the work ethic. But if you have both of those and you do that consistently over a long time horizon, it's very difficult not to win in this job. Very difficult.
And then when you have the right proximity, you stumble around the right people like Mikey Lucas, and they teach you how to turn that $200,000 into $20,000 a month. Let's go.
Come on. And then you never have to work a day in your life.
Never working again.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you this, dude. I started, I think at 2019, I think I was like 12. I think it was 12. It was either 12 or $17,000 a month. I think it was $12,000 actually. In 2019, yeah. And that was different when I wasn't paying for my Tesla. I wasn't paying for my GTR. I wasn't paying for my house. I wasn't paying for the trips. I was being paid to wake up every single day, and then still going and going out and making 20, 30 grand a day.
Yep.
But again, Travis, the cool part about money is that it's a tool, man. Like, yeah, sure, we've got nice things. You got a brand new Audi, right? Like, you've got nice things, but you drove your honky donkey Ford for how long?
All the way up until last month.
Right? And right before this, the damn car battery broke on you. So it's like, dude, you're making it. And the cool part about you, Travis, is that you're going to make it because the proximity that you're around, like with Ricardo, is this kid has 5 figures a month in passive income too. Yep. I mean, I've seen his portfolio. I'm like, dude, you got it. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah, proximity is really key there. So that's really good, man. Integrity and showing up every day. I think it's the same thing, man. I don't think my dad ever was. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen my dad, even on vacation, the poor guy would be waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, drinking his coffee, doing his thing, reading the paper. Like, yeah, wow, that's pretty awesome, dude.
We took 2 substantial family vacation, like from 0 through 18. He still is shopping at Kirkland. He still is pinching his pennies.
Yeah.
I don't agree with how he spends, but
yeah, same.
He showed me how to work. That's for sure.
Yeah, my dad does the same thing. He always complains that I just so you know, I don't think he watches my shows, but he might. I told him that. He said, "Mike, how much are you paying for this building that I'm in? I'm in one of the nicest. I'm in the nicest brand new high rise,
baby.
Yeah, the penthouse." And he asked me how much it was. I lied to him. I said $1,500. He said, "How much you paying for that thing?" I said $1,500. He didn't know that it's $1,500 a week, but I just said $1,500.
Yeah.
It says, "Dad, it's only $1,500. It's easy. Like, look, I'm around. This is great. The dog park, the pool, the gym's here. I'm saving money. It's easy."
Little does he know, 20 G's a month, Dad. Sorry. Sorry. Loses his shit.
Yeah, he would lose it.
I
mean, my wife's bought a house. My wife had a house. She's bought and sold it. So she's already done her starter house. I've had my first house. I have multiple real estate investment properties. My dad still says, like, buy your first. It's like buy. You start small and then go up. I'm like, Dad, I've literally already done that. You're thinking you're correlating your age at 30 and my age at 30. We're not the same. We're not the same, dude. Oh man. Do you have any siblings?
I've got a younger sister. Yep, 3 years apart.
She married and got kids yet or not yet?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, she's got a
cousins?
great head on her shoulder. What's up?
Any cousins?
Yeah, I got a medium-sized family. Most of them are on the East Coast, and then some of them are in the Midwest. Yep.
Any of them see you on Instagram, social media, and think, Travis just loves money?
In the beginning, 100%. Yep. But over time, I mean, I've developed a pretty dang good relationship with my extended family, so they know what I'm about. But in the beginning, I mean, even with my parents, right? In the beginning, it was, hey, don't do this, right? Fear. Go down the college route, like get a 9-to-5, all this stuff. And in the beginning, it's like, absolutely not. Like I'm going my own way. But then you realize as I've gotten older, it's all out of love. You know what I mean? The reason why they place their beliefs on you, it's out of love. It's what they know, right? They didn't have Mikey Lucas's podcast. Right. Well, they didn't have access to XYZ audiobook, all this YouTube channels, you know what I mean? We do. Right. So they didn't have the access. It's out of love at the end of the day. But I did get hit up by my aunt. She was like, man, you're a little bit too flashy. I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
Yeah. They'll do that to you. I've had that. I've seen that, and I kind of ask that. I try to ask that question as much as I can when I bring it up to the Golden Door Award winners, but
yeah.
It's almost every single one of them. They're like, yeah, and not all of them are flashy. And I know you're not flashy.
Yeah.
People probably think I am flashy now, but I'm really not. I don't pay for anything, dude. Like the hard work I did, the seeds that I planted while I was knocking on doors, while everyone else was driving BMWs and Mercedes, I was driving Hyundais and storing my cash away. And now I've got over $30,000 a month in passive income. And I don't got to do anything. I get to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, for however long I want. No missing, no family vacations, no missing, no weddings, no missing, no funerals, no more. None of that. I can do what I want. My wife wants to buy extra stuff and get upgraded to, go here. Sure, let's do it. I don't have to sit in first class every time. I'm cool with sitting in comfort or business class. Yep. But if she wants to upgrade it, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Sure, go ahead.
I've literally invested 90% of my income this is the first year that I've actually increased my lifestyle. Right, it's after making multiple 7 figures year over year.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I love that, dude. I love that. Yeah, you're gonna make it, dude. That's awesome.
And I'll tell you, it feels a lot better once you stack it away and you pay for your toys with your passive income than it does with your cash. Listen to Mikey, guys. He knows what he's talking about.
I do because I don't take my advice from broke millionaires. I listen to very wealthy billionaires.
Yep.
Okay. You said a few things that I want to get into because you're a young 20-year-old, and you teach young 20 and 30-year-olds, and I do too, obviously, and that's just one of my my greatest following. If you look at my Instagram statistics, is male Americans in their 20s and 30s, right? I want to talk about looks like 4 things I wrote down, and we can go in any order. Procrastination, distraction due to too many opportunities. Proximity, which you've talked about a lot. Yep. Complacency, and then I guess the 5th thing is the perspective advantage. Which of those sounds the funnest?
On procrastination, just quickly to bang that one, it's not really about adding habits to your life. It's about removing stuff, right? Most of you guys, and even me in the beginning, you need to remove your vices. And you don't need to add anything extra to your life. You say, hey, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? Let's remove half of this, and let's stick to the stuff that we know is going to get the result.
Pause. Slow down. Bro, you are so freaking educated. Oh, my God. What do you mean by that? Like, for the listeners, they don't get that, bro. That is huge. Please go back to that. Just describe that a little bit more, please.
I'll say it again. Yep. So most people, they try to add the fancy habit. They try to put red light on their freaking forehead. They try to, do their high frequency levitating above the ground. They try to, put their freaking ears over their toe. I don't even know, right? But what they're not doing is they're not sticking with the simple stuff, right? So literally, for me, the important stuff is making sure to wake up on time and go to bed on time every single day. It's true.
Unfortunately, it's very true.
You know, especially nowadays, right? That's the problem with all the access of information, right? There's so many gurus out there saying, "Hey, do this, you'll make $1 million." It's all BS, you know. But I mean, for me, the biggest thing, I always need to move every single morning. I'm big on that. I call it like you got to know your own operating. Mikey's got to know his operating system. Travis has to know Travis's operating system. For me, in order to operate, I need Sunday. I shut everyone off. Nice. I disappear. Right, I literally am like a vampire, right? I hit that mental reset button. Other people, they like to go out on Sundays and have fun. I'm not that type of guy. So you got to know your operating system. And typically what I find is most people, it's not about adding anything, it's about removing stuff. So a really applicable way to do that is literally just auditing your day and auditing your week. Like one thing that Mikey's really good at, he just showed me before this, his schedule is dialed. He knows what he's doing every 10 to 15 minutes. Right? So for you, know your schedule, know what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and 9 times out of 10, probably 2 to 5 hours of those days, you're probably scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through Snapchat, right? You're probably not doing the basic stuff, hitting the gym every single day, waking up at the same time. Most of you guys are wasting too much time, right? So audit your day, audit exactly what time you're waking up at. I usually say, hey, do 2 to 3 things in the morning, whether that's journal, whether that's wake up at the same time, go to the gym, have a good breakfast, hit a morning meditation, whatever that is for you. It doesn't matter, but figure out what works for you and just stick with it. And then specifically in this job, again, what I always teach is doesn't matter what's going on with your life. If you're not willing to stick with your schedule on the doors or in homes, you're not willing to have a substantial income and to win in this job. If you can't literally block off between 12 to 7 or 12 to 8 to be on the doors or to be in homes, you're not willing to get a golden door, period.
Well, it's nice having you. Dude, that was outstanding. It's not about adding things, but about removing things. Okay. I like to say, there's a quote that I live by that says, when things aren't adding up, start subtracting.
Yep.
And I'm a really big biohacker, so I actually like to do a lot of those red light therapy, stuff like that you're talking about. But I definitely think that people like they put too much faith in that, as if that's the thing that's going to like keep them going, when in reality they just need to simplify it and just do
Correct.
The things, rather than trying to, through metamorphosis, become something completely different or whatever. It's like, no, you just need to go do. Like, that's why Nike says just do it.
The point of doing that work is to grow. But the problem is a lot of people use it to procrastinate doing the work they know they should be doing. Right? Again, that's what I was talking about. People are getting in their own way. Right? They're getting in their own way and procrastinating the work that they know they should be doing. Right? It's one thing if you're actually intensely waking up every single day, staying consistent in the gym, and actually doing the red light therapy and being focused while you're doing that and actually using it to grow. But other people, right, they're just procrastinating doing the work they know they should be doing. Right? It gets to a point where you can be doing the personal development at your detriment. Yeah. Right? I'm never going to tell if there's a kid getting new to the space, hey, he's doing this, this, and this, all these habits, great. Do it, whatever works. But it gets to a point, like if you're doing 40 to 50 in a month, you've already done a level of personal development, right? You already know the things you should be doing in order to go from 50 to 150 to 100, right? You got to subtract and start doing the things you know you should be doing daily.
That's a nugget.
Yep.
That's a nugget. And where did you learn that from?
I mean, you learn a lot of lessons when you've been in the game for 5 to 6 years, as you know. But no, I mean, it's just been learned over time, right? I mean, when I first started in this job, I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't have a vision for my life. I didn't have really that good of direction, right? But the number one thing I had was I knew I wasn't going to quit, right? That was rule number one. I wasn't going to quit. I'm never going to tap. So, you do that for a year, you get punched in the face, but you keep getting up. Well, you learn some lessons, right? Once you do that, once you have the baseline of, hey, I'm not going to quit, then, hey, well, you actually stumble into some results, right? And then once you stumble into results, you learn some more lessons. Hey, this pitch works. Hanging out with this dude is probably a good idea for my life. Maybe it's a good idea to hang out with Ricardo because he knows how to sell some solar, right? Yep. So over a long time of, staying in the paint, again, being high on your word and your integrity, you just learn lessons over time. They come to you, right? You're still learning lessons every single day running a $50 million fund, right? And your ego is out the door, right? You're still open to learning, right? Another big thing is, again, people get in their own way. Their ego says, hey, I know everything, I'm good, right? Well, that's not going to get you where you want to go.
Why do you think we get so distracted? You said that you basically tied something together there where I thought was interesting. Are you thinking that the 20 and 30-year-olds are distracted or ever distracted because of too many opportunities?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I definitely do think, like social media plays a massive part of it, right? Especially like if you see everybody with the Lambo doing drop shipping, doing wholesaling, God knows what. I think that's a massive part of it for sure.
Because okay. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I'm knocking on doors. It's effing 100 degrees outside. Yep. And I'm in Houston, so it's effing 100% humidity. And I see some jacknob drove around in a Lambo says, you could drop ship and make $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, $10,000 a month sounds pretty damn good right now. And I could drop ship out of my home in my pajamas with my Crocs on or whatever you wear at home. So is that what the plague is, bro? Is that what it is? Is people are getting, either they're seeing it on social media or they're hearing all four people like recruiting and whatever, like sure, recruit into your multi-level marketing company or into your drop shipping business if that's how your business is ran, but why aren't guys sticking it out?
I think that's a massive part of it, right? So tons and tons of distraction, right? You got social media, again, girl in the red dress. Honestly, on a macro level, Mikey, I think a bigger part of it is, honestly, specifically my generation is very soft, unfortunately, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of guys nowadays, they're not willing to put in the work, right? Again, they know what they should be doing, but they're not willing to do it, right? I think guys are just weak. We don't have as strong of male figures. We don't have as strong of leadership, right? There's a lack, right? We have had hard times in the past, but again, it's the phrase, right? The hard times create hard men, right? And then what happens is times go crazy. I don't even know the phrase. I don't even know the freaking phrase, yeah. Right? And then now we're in easier times, right? We have abundance of opportunity, right? It's not the Great Depression, and I definitely do think another part of it is we're lacking a lot of leadership and direction for the youth, right? Which the byproduct of that is, hey, we get distracted by social media, and hey, we're on our phones all day, or hey, we're trying to be the next drop shipper, right? But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
That's what I was going for.
Jeez, what a cycle that is. So you think that, and I want to give credit to obviously our generation because we are growing significantly faster. So it is apples to oranges, but that doesn't give us the right to be soft because we grew up faster with all this information and whatever. It's you're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens right now in front of me.
Yep.
With megabytes or millibytes of per second, thousands of them downloading this video right now.
Yep.
People are listening to this on their cell phones in their car while they're driving, probably in a Tesla while it's driving itself. We grew up in a different time. So 100%. It is apples to oranges, but yeah, that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Why do you think that we just came out of a good time, which is why we have weak men? Or the 2000s were,
Yeah, as you know, markets are cyclical, and life in general is cyclical, right? Everything is in cycles and everything is in patterns. Yeah, we did just come off of a pretty good time. Everyone that you saw crypto pumps, right? Everyone and their mom could make money, right? Interest rates are low, and solar.
My grandma made some money in crypto, dude.
I'm sure she did, right? She probably bought a monkey and made 150,000. You know, so, but Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely did come off of a relatively easy time, and now, I mean, I always talk about the difference between an amateur versus a professional, right? Specifically in the solar industry, amateurs could make money, right? It's not difficult to sell a 0.99% loan in savings in California,
Dude,
especially
you're an idiot if you don't go solar 0.99, dog.
100%, right? And now, obviously, we're seeing with NEM, with what's happening, having to sell, leases and PPAs more, and having to sell batteries, right? It's not as easy to make money specifically in solar, right? But overall, yeah, no, I do think we did just come off with a good time, and times are gonna get relatively harder, right? Interest rates are increasing, right? Your dollar's getting eroded by inflation, as you know. And it's going to be, we always talk about it's separation season, right? The difference between an amateur versus professional, right? But basically, bottom line, at the end of the day, erase what happened in the past. If you are really serious about getting results you want, you have to be 100% all in. And if you haven't done what you know you should be doing over in the past, well, it's time to literally sit down and reevaluate your goals, your life, your mission, and then just make it happen. That's it. It's not rocket science.
Do you think the 22, 25-year-old young man that had a hard upbringing, maybe one parent, just a mom, why do you think that kid still doesn't, why do you think that kid still struggles? Like the kids that did like really, really had hard time. Why do you think that kid still struggles? Don't you think, wouldn't it make sense, understanding personal development, that kid would have everything, like the motivation, the drive?
Sure.
Like why do you think those kids still struggle? Those guys still struggle.
That's a really good question. I could go deep on that, but
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think that's part of perspective, right? In my eyes, I think my upbringing, because I didn't have that brutal of an upbringing, right? So life was still good growing up.
Huh.
I see that as it was an advantageous for me, right? And you do see those stories all the time. Like the guys that really grew up on rock bottom are now worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Because they use that as their driving motivator, right? But it's not always like that, right? There are still people, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, millions, right? That did have a rough upbringing, and they didn't have access to the information. They don't have access to the right mentorship, and if you don't have access to the right information, if you don't have access to the right people, you don't have the tools in order to advance your life, right? So I think it comes down to, it's like an access of information. It's a leadership thing for people that are in that perspective, right? And that's why it's so important for guys like yourself to have these podcasts, right? That's why it's so important for myself to build this company, right? So we can build ourselves up so that we can help and serve those people, right? And that's the beautiful part about the internet, right? The internet does give those type of people access to podcasts like this and to the right information. But it's a deep question. We could go deep, but it definitely is a problem in society, obviously.
Do you think they have an identity? Do you think they or anybody else in that ballpark, whether they had it all together, good upbringing, whatever? Because obviously you and I both have friends. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming I had a hard upbringing. Was my parents hard on us? Yeah, for sure. We definitely I've had spoons, wooden spoons, metal spoons, I've had broken plastic spoons.
I've been spanked by all of the above. All of the above.
Yeah. Whatever, dude, when you would hear that drawer open up, you're like, oh
see
shit.
ya.
Gosh dang it, dude. And you can't run as far. It's like you're kind of stuck. Mom's eventually going to get you. Dad's going to get you. There's something I've been studying for a pretty long time, Travis. And I believe that our generation and even like the Western world right now has an identity crisis. That we have an identity crisis, and it's getting even worse.
Yep.
I don't truthfully know how it's going to be solved. I don't even know if it's solvable. And maybe that's just maybe that's my, I guess, hard part is like, I'm always trying to solve it and like solve people, like solve the riddle or whatever. Like maybe that's just the downfall of Mikey Lucas. But I believe we have an identity crisis. I think that we're not only that, but we're also like inside of that, we are, first of all, we're turning away from God.
Yep.
Second of all, we're trying to get our value based off of what other people think about us. Like, I don't give a crap what anybody that I went to high school or college with thinks about who I am right now. I could care less, dude. Absolutely not.
I'm with you on that, brother.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, yeah, you're a little bit closer than I am to them, and like, dude, like I could care less. Now, what's funny is that a lot of them now have come back and be like, we knew you would make it, all this kind of stuff, and it is kind of nice because, like, dude, I was definitely hated on.
Yeah.
I was like, we were we were troubled children, and to it in a nice way, right? We were very respectable, but also, we caused some trouble.
Yeah,
that was a lot of trouble. But like, I don't care about, and I know you don't either. Like, you don't care about what these, cab driver number 2, butler number 3, concierge downstairs thinks about you. It's not what you care about, but we do for some reason, and it's like we're doing it for the gram, we're doing it for the Vine.
Yep.
Are you old enough to remember the Vine?
Oh, dude, I remember.
You're definitely out of cell phone.
I think I was in middle school when that was going on.
I was like, dude, you're probably 6th, 7th, 8th grade at that point when the Vine was out, bro.
I was probably still wearing diapers in middle school for all I know when that was going on.
I thought about the other day. I took my wife out to dinner the other night. We had a nice steak dinner. And I said, babe, do it for the Vine. She was like, what is that? I was like, don't you tell me right now you don't do it for the Vine means.
You're like, Mike, you got a couple of gray hairs popping in here.
Dude, I got a couple here and there. I was like,
there
dude,
you go.
My family is very like black, doesn't get very much grays until they're super, super old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like, dude, I'm getting some grays. I'm like, what happened? Door to door. Oh, man.
The doors will do that to you, Mikey. They'll do that. You know better than me.
For real. All right, so you talked a lot about proximity. I think people understand that. Just give me like a quick synopsis around proximity. Like, why is proximity that important for you?
It's huge. It's one of the fundamental pillars of success, right? It also comes down to ego, right? But if you are a big fish in a small pond, you will cap your growth and you will cap your potential, right? For me, some of the biggest leaps, bounds, and jumps I've made in my life, as I said before, was investing in myself. And just like you were saying, get in the right room. When I, in the beginning, was making 50 to 100K, when I got in the same room as people that were making a couple million a year, it forced me to think bigger and raise my standard, right? Once you progress, once you get around those people, you figure out what they're doing, and then you get to realize, hey, it's actually not that hard. They're normal human beings. I can do it too, right? So it's super, super important to get in the right room. Conversely, now I'm in rooms with people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And one, I get to see, hey, they're normal human beings, right? What they're doing isn't that special. They just have different information and they have different habits, right? And they're acting on it, right? So it's super, super important. Number 2 is proximity is 100% power. You think that if you're surrounded by guys that are making the type of money and are working out every single day, you think it's going to be easier or harder to hit the gym every single day and to be working consistently. It's going to be a lot easier, right? It's a lot harder to hold yourself accountable by yourself than it is when you're surrounded by other people that are winning at a high level, right? It takes a lot less willpower and it takes a lot less effort. So I think one thing that I've done really well is I have put myself in those rooms and I have sought out mentors and I have actually spent the 10, the 20, the 50,000, I have cut the check to be around those people and pick their brains and actually downloaded their wisdom. And it has definitely propelled me to where I am right now. It's one big law that I always talk about, Mikey, is the law of exposure, right? Once exposed, you can never be one exposed, right? Once you sit in that Lamborghini, once you get on that yacht, once you talk to that billionaire, you can never go back to a 9-to-5 mindset. It's almost impossible, right? It will always linger in the back of your head, right? So get around success, talk to the right people. It's incredibly important.
Once you sit in first class, it is really hard to when you have to walk past first class to go to coach. You remember
it's physically painful. It's physically painful now. I'm in physical pain.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, dude, my knees actually hit. Like, I don't know how I used to do this. They literally packing like sardines. It was so nice for a while during COVID because at least they would, when you'd pack in like sardines, at least there was a person in between you. At least with Delta, it was. Yep. But yeah, it is physically painful. Like nails on a chalkboard. I'm gonna have to walk past
100%.
First class. So you're right. Wow.
But
The
it,
law
but it,
of
applicable in
exposure.
that. I mean, like for me, like I had the privilege of being able to work with Ricardo. I mean, he's a gem. Like nobody knows how to sell solar alarms. He's the GOAT. So I got to learn a ton from him. Well, it's just being around him, right? Seeing how he operates on a day to day. The thing about that is that'll propel you to a level in sales, right? And in your certain ability. But the beautiful part about that is any aspect of your life when it comes to business, health, fitness, all you have to do is really just find someone who's winning and just do whatever you can to get around them. You'll learn, right? Just by seeing how they operate, picking their brain, providing value to them, eventually you'll figure out, hey, you'll start to piece together how they're doing what they're doing, and you'll figure out that it's not rocket science, right? So applicable is even if you don't have access to some of the best in the industry, you should be listening to podcasts. That's the quickest way to get proximity. You should be reading books, and then do whatever you can to at least get generally close to the right people, whether that's going to a seminar on how to sell more solar, whether that's going to a Tony Robbins event. Like do whatever you can to get around the right people, and eventually it will rub off on you.
All right. You said something there that was a gem that I don't think they really think people caught. You said add value to XYZ person, add value to that top
Correct.
person. A lot of people want to go take. Hey, Ricardo. Hey, Travis, tell me how you did 7,000 deals in one day.
Yep.
You know, one weekend. How did you do that? Tell me. Can I bring you to lunch? Can I buy you coffee? It's like, okay, Travis, give me some practical ways you added value to Ricardo Ritchie and why he respects you the way he does right now.
I wanted to start with the first example, is the example with you and I, right? You said you don't want to spend time with people that don't implement your advice. Number one is implement the damn advice, right? I remember when we first met, you sat down and you showed me your sales process. Literally that day, I implemented your equity pitch. And I think I texted you about it. Hey, this worked for me, right? You love that. That gives me fulfillment when someone takes my advice and says, hey, I got this result. I love it, dude. That's super valuable to me.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that's big, is even if you don't have quote unquote value, is if they give you advice, implement it and show someone, hey, I've actually taken your advice and I'm actually worth your time. Right? And if you keep doing that consistently, that eventually they value you, right? And they want to provide value to you because it feels good to help someone. You know what I mean? That's like the highest frequency act, is giving, right? If Mikey helps someone and sees how it's changing their life, that feels good, right? So when it comes to Ricardo, when it comes to other high level people in my life, it's really just been like, I have always, been focused on myself personally. I've always been pushing myself personally. I've always been taking advice. I try to implement advice as quick as possible, and I always try to do the little things, right? If I see their day to day, or if I see that they're missing something in their life, I try to fill the gap, right? So, for example, like one of my mentors, he is coming on becoming a billionaire. He owns hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate, and he was telling me that he was having some interpersonal problems with his spouse. So what I did, I said, hey man, I have a really good relationship. I've read this book, it's the 5 Love Languages. I really think you should read this book. I actually summarized the book for him, highlighted a chapter, sent it over to him, and said, hey man, it's worth a listen. He checked it out. Next day, he was like, hey man, you were 100% right. I thank you. 2 months later, he was like, hey, he was helping me structure some tax stuff. You know what I mean? So it's not really difficult in my eyes if you put some conscious thought to it. If you're trying to provide value to someone who's ahead of you, is just write down a list of like, hey, what do I think this person is missing in their life, or what can I pinpoint of something that I can provide value that's small. And step number 1 is implementing their advice. And step number 2 is just do whatever you can, whether that's like sending them a note or shooting them a text or even telling them, hey, how can I provide value to you? They'll appreciate that. They feel the intent.
Let me point one thing out really quick. You just said a billionaire read a book in one day.
No, he read the passage that I sent him. The passage.
Okay, I was like, yep. See, guys, told you, invest like a billionaire, not like a millionaire. Read a book in a day.
No, this is actually a true story though. I have a buddy, not a buddy. He's a mentor of mine. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he literally came to me and was like, hey, like, to be honest with you, I'm struggling with this in my relationship. I was like, look, man, I would honestly check this out. And he did, and it instantly, he was like, dude, thank you. That helped me, So I filled the gap.
Fill the gap. Okay, we're gonna call it that. We're gonna call it the fill the gap.
But Mikey, real quick though, the only reason why I was even eligible and he even allowed me to do that was because I've been implementing what he said for the last 2 years straight. So I got to that plane. So that's always step number one. If Mikey Lucas is mentoring you and he tells you to do something, you better do it, and you better show him that you're doing it.
I was told that, Travis, years ago by a mentor of mine, Cole Hatter, and he said that exact same thing. If somebody's giving you advice, do it and then tell them how it changed your life and see what happens. And then, for instance, I did that with Dave Allred. Dave Allred in 2017 gave me a book list of 100 books. And I think it was like 4 years later, I texted him, and I texted him and sent him a bunch of like notes I had on the books. And I said, hey man, is there any other books? Within 6 months, he was mentoring me.
Yep.
On a one-on-one basis.
Yep.
Helped me start my own fund. Yeah.
These people are busy. Their time's valuable, right? You have to make it loud and clear that it's worth it for them to put their time into you. Right? Step number one is like, if you can't even do the things that they're telling you to do, why the heck would he spend more time with you? Of course he would.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even logically make sense.
No, it doesn't. All right, we get distracted with all these opportunities. And get complacent? You know, you have this perspective advantage, the proximity. Let me try to land the plane or end the conversation here on this. Why do you think people get so? Why do you think procrastination is it a high school thing that we were taught? Is it a growing up thing? Your parents let you procrastinate to do your project until cram. Like in the workplace now, why are we procrastinating sending out all of our thank you cards until, the last minute or like why is this generation such a procrastination generation?
Generationally, who knows? I don't have the answer to that, but I do think a big thing that it comes down to is just a lack of vision and clarity. I think that's big. So I think a lot of people just do not actually know where they want to go and what they want truly. Okay, you say you want a nice car. Well, what actual car do you want? Like, what color is the interior? Right? Okay, you say you want to have a real estate fund. Well, what exactly, like, what do you want, $1 million real estate fund? You want 100 million? What does that look like? Right? And if you don't have a clear vision, then you fall off your path very quickly. Very, very quickly. Right? And for me, I think what's helped is I have a pretty dang clear vision of where I want to go. And actually applicable advice is if you have that vision, I like to whiteboard out exactly where I want to go down to the T. Getting distracted is a lot harder when you know where you want to go. Yeah. Right? But when it comes to the generation, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, school system, social media, upbringing. I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, Google, YouTube, whatever, right?
You know.
Yeah, and I'm not like the shit on the millennials generation, right? I mean, I've got a book called Purposeful Profit, Mastering the Millennial Mindset for Success.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things that I want to make sure that people understand that it's not just our generation, but we have to still say a key estoy. Here I am.
Yep.
A key estoy. I just learned that the other day. A key estoy. Here I am. So if I procrastinate, here I am. Like, why am I procrastinating? Okay. Clearly it's because of a lack of vision, a lack of clarity. And I love what you said there. I think I've got if people DM me ultimate clarity, that I have a clarity guide that I give people, because I was like, I just don't think people understand what they want. And I'm like, how?
Mikey, one of my mentors told me something that made me laugh my ass off, but is also very true. It's like most people, especially when you're a leader, most people don't even know how to get out of bed properly. They don't even know how to get out of bed on time, let alone what they're going to do tomorrow, let alone what they're going to do next week, let alone where they're going to be in 10 years, right? So I think a big thing on leadership is like if you can help someone get clarity in their life, because it's hard to figure that out, right? You can sit down with a notebook and try to write down what you want. That's a difficult thing to do. But if you can actually help someone get that clarity in their lives, break that down for them, and then link it to a bigger vision outside of themselves, that's really how you can change someone's life. I've seen it happen time and time again within my company, within other people that I personally mentor. So that's big. And for me, when I know where I want to go, it's actually more painful to be distracted and do something that that isn't going to get me to where I want to go, as opposed to do the thing that I know I should be doing.
Interesting. That's an interesting look on it, and that's because when you're not doing what you need to be doing, that guilt maybe? Is it a guilt thing?
For me, I would say it's a guilt thing, for sure.
I don't think that's a bad guilt. I think it's a good guilt. If anything, it's like, dude, really?
100%. Really? My biggest problem is, to be honest with you, is shutting off. I'm not good at shutting off and not working. You know, I guess it's a good problem to have. Who knows?
All right, let me ask you this. This is where I'll try to land the plane here. So then, okay, as of 2023, what is Travis's end goal? I know it's going to change, and again, listeners, listen up. Travis's end goal is going to change and has changed probably a couple times today. But what is Travis's end goal as of right now? What's your end goal?
We talking business? We talking life? We talking all the above?
Whatever you want, bro. What's your end goal, dude?
Well, I mean, end goal at the end of the day, as I said before, is really for me, it's one, maximizing my potential, personal excellence. When it comes to business, that minimum nine-figure net worth is going to happen. And the reason why I say that is just because I know the person I'm going to become in that process is going to be able to impact millions and millions of people. I'm going to be qualified to impact millions of people if I do grow and scale a company to that size. So that's number one. Number two, I mean, it really just comes down to impact. So I want to really impact millions and millions of people and actually make a measurable difference in this short existence that we have, and really just live with minimal regrets. That's my why.
Living with minimal regrets. So that's good, bro.
Yeah.
Rapid fire with me. What are some books that you recommend, or that you're reading right now, that you recommend young entrepreneurs to read?
Favorite podcast is The Game, Alex Hormozi. It's a big one. I like to listen to Andy Frisella. He's a master. Books, Think and Grow Rich, Basics, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Sales, the 2 sales books that I listened to literally every single day in my first year, which I still recommend to my guys. First one is Straight Line Selling. That one's massive. And then number 2 was The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. That one was huge for me in the beginning. That one taught me self-talk, taught me question-based selling, taught me how to think bigger. So those are some of my favorites.
Oh, I appreciate that. Have you ever read the book Pitch Anything?
I have not. Nope.
I've read it 72 times. It is my Psychology of Selling book.
That's what's up.
Phenomenal book.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah. I'm not in his group or in Claff, but he's a fundraiser and he creates funds and things like that. So I was with him not that long ago, and it was really cool to be able to shake his hand and be like, Oren, like, I read your book 72 times and also taught your book like hundreds of times. I'm a millionaire because of you. Like, thank you. Appreciate that. And he was just like, wait, what? And I'm like,
epic.
Yeah, dude. 72 times. You're outstanding. Thank you so much.
This guy's a psychopath, but I love it. That's why he's here.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, dude. Well, cool, bro. It's been awesome, man. I mean, I've got 3 pages worth of notes, almost 3.5 pages worth of notes here.
Appreciate you having me, my man.
I have to go back. I have to re-listen to this. This was a lot. I'm taken back. Okay, Travis, if you have any final words for the Golden Door Award winners, what would it be?
It's not rocket science, guys. That's it. The information's out there. Eliminate the distractions. Figure out your goals. Have crystal clear clarity, and then stick with it like your life depends on it. Right? Convincing people, specifically in solar, convincing 150 people to save money is not a difficult task. Right? Pest control and alarms, you definitely got to push to work it, but there are many people that have done it. You guys know the path. You know what you should be doing. Stick with it and do it consistently, and just surround yourself with the right people. That's it. Get out of your own way. End of story.
Where can we find you at, Travis? Everyone's going to want to follow you, brother. You have a long, prosperous journey ahead of you, man. Impactful journey ahead of you. Where can we find you at, man?
Yeah, best way to find me is just on Instagram, travis.hartman. We've been posting a lot, and also my company is Momentous Solar. So IG, going to be posting a lot more content as well, which I'm excited about. But yeah, Instagram.
Cool. Yeah, you guys do post a lot of really good, valuable content. So does Ricardo. So that's pretty awesome, man.
100%.
Awesome, man. Well, God bless you, dude. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you hit that 9-figure mark net worth. Looking forward to being a part of that too, man. Looking forward to it, bro. You're an outstanding individual, brother. You have a long, really good journey ahead of you.
Mikey, I appreciate you having me, brother. And I love what you're doing here, guys. Make sure to continue tuning in. Again, I remember listening to Mikey like when we first met. I don't even know how long ago. It was like 3-4 years ago. And still to this day, I apply a lot of the stuff that he taught me in the beginning. So I'm grateful for you, brother, and thanks again for having me.
I love it, man. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, my man.